I believe I'm audible. Please let me know if you can hear me. Good morning. Can anyone hear me, please?
Yes, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to today's masterclass. Welcome to this session. My name is Oluwatayo Winkunle, and I'll be taking us on transitioning into product management. And I'm trying to bring up my camera so you know I'm human. Okay. All right, we're talking about transitioning into product management, and we'll talk about the skills required to become a product manager and how you can transition. What do product managers do? What do they do? What's their role in the big picture? Okay, so without taking so much of our time, I'll just jump right into it. I see we're about 7 in the class for now, but I'm gonna jump into it. I also believe that this session is recorded. Every other person that comes in later than now would probably have access to the recording. So yes, so this is my face. I'm going to disable video for a while so that I save some bandwidth so that we can hear ourselves well. So I like to really probably just, I wouldn't exactly call them ground rules, but in case I'm too fast or I'm too slow, you're free to call my attention. You know, you could put it in a chat box, or you could put it in a chat box, or just raise your hand. I'm going to see it and I'm going to, call on everybody. As much as possible, I really like to know my audience. I really like to know my students. And I'm like, okay, so yes, it's a small class, and I'm thinking we all can come with little introduction of ourselves. So your name, I can actually see your name. You can just tell me what industry you're in, and the reason you like to transition into product management, or what exactly excites you about product management, and we can take it from there. As much as possible, I love the session. I love my sessions to be very, very interactive. I don't want to talk to myself alone. I want to hear you talk. I want to take your feedback. I want to hear you, and I want us to be able to rub minds. I mean, as much as you want to learn from me, I also really, really, really am looking forward to learning from you. So, do we have a deal? Is that cool, guys? Um, I think I saw some chats. Jerome, I hope I pronounced that well. Good to have you. Good to have you here. Okay, so I'll be looking forward to every other person to drop their stuffs in the chat box while I share my screen and we get going. Okay, cool. Please confirm if you can see my screen. Can anyone confirm if they can see my screen? Okay.
Yes, we can.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for that feedback. That was great. Okay, so yes, again, I'm going to just glide over it. What we're talking about today is how to transition into product management. And what does a product manager do? What do you think you need to become a product manager? All right. And so I'll start with a brief introduction about myself. I realized that these things are better. You're better familiar with this concept, or these things sink in better with life examples, real life examples, right? So I will probably start with my own story. Don't worry, I'm not going to bore you, but I would like to start with my story. So how did I get into product management? And maybe I should make us all understand this. Most people, if you read most great product managers, if you read most of their bios, or if you read most of their stories, most people didn't start out becoming product manager. I mean, there's barely any course in the university. I mean, as far as I know about the African curriculum, right? There's barely no university that offers a course or that you want to study product management. Even till now, it's just recently that okay, in some postgraduate studies, maybe it's been incorporated. So yeah, so nobody woke up one day and say, oh, a 10-year-old me, and you're asking somebody, oh, what do you want to become when you grow old? And you want to say, oh, I want to become a product manager. become a product manager, people usually transition into these things. People who are in product management today, a large percentage of them, 60 to 70% of great product managers today, they came from other backgrounds, right? A lot of people, most people came from sales or marketing background. You see some people coming from engineering, software engineering background, and they eventually become product owners. You see people coming from diverse skills, diverse fields, diverse educational background, and they become product managers along the line. Okay, so yes, back to my story. For me, I studied biochemistry in school, natural sciences, like pure natural sciences. And when I left school, I started my career in banking, and I started as a salesperson. So I was in marketing, and that is totally and entirely a different ball game entirely. I mean, if you're a salesperson or a marketer in banking, it's totally different from product manager. So basically, I'm selling bank products, I'm selling services, right? And I'm trying to manage relationships, customer accounts, bringing more on board, more customers, and all of that. So that's how I started, right? So this is to tell you that no matter your education background, no matter your career background, where you are right now in your career, you can become a product manager, right? I mean, we've seen from example that I came from a biochemistry background. I mean, a pure science person, and I'm here today. You can do more research for yourself. Just go on LinkedIn one day, just search for product managers. Just take the top 5 product managers, looking through their background or their intro, look through where they're coming from. Usually people, most of them rather, do not start off being a product manager. They probably started from one field and they transitioned. All right. So yes, that's a brief. So yes, who is a product manager? Who is a product manager, and what skills do you require to become one? So in my case, when I finished being, I said finished, while I was in marketing, I wanted more, and then that was when there's a lot of buzz. 2017, 2018, there's a lot of buzz about analytics. Oh, data analytics is the new big thing. By the year 2020, there are not going to be enough data analysts in the world. Blah blah blah. It's going to be very required skills. Then I started researching. Like, okay, so what are the top new roles that would be required in the coming ages or in the coming times? And I saw data analysts, business analysts, product managers, blah, blah. So everything just started jumping. So which do I go for? Which one do I think I have more? Which one do I think I have more inclination to? Which one do I have a flair for? Right? So, well, thankfully, I first took off to being a business analyst. Now, the business analyst in this case is more like a business data analyst, and I'm like, okay, that's fair. That's still fair. So I got a role. However, when I got to the team, they said, oh, instead of a data analyst, they needed a product manager or a product analyst, and I'm like, okay, that's fair too. It's still something like I could do. I mean, I've done my research. I really wanted it. So yes, and then that was how I became an analyst. At the same time, I was doubling as a product manager. Then I realized, oh, okay, the fact that, yes, I was analyzing data for these people, at the same time, I was doubling as a product manager, managing some portfolio. And I'm like, okay, this is fair, this is fine. Then I started researching more, go to school, do this and that. And before you know it, I became a full product manager. Well, some people would say, oh, people just get into product management accidentally. Maybe that's one of my story. Maybe I got into product management accidentally. So that's the gist. So, and that was me in Axis Bank. Then I left Axis Bank. Now today I presently work with InterSuite. So I'd like to encourage us in the room that it's a process. You don't have to be hard on yourself. You have to take it slow, from one step at a time. And with time, I mean, things are going to become clearer. It become clearer every day, every now and then. So today, we're just going to talk about what you should be looking forward to and the skills you will need to succeed along the way. Okay, so who is a
product manager. Basically, a product manager is in the middle of all this. I wouldn't exactly call it chaos, but a product manager is in the middle of all this. So a product manager is that guy in the middle of UX, the tech, and business. Okay, before we go into details of this Venn diagram, let's quickly glance over the definition of a product manager from the word product and manager. So basically, off the top of your head, you're like, okay, a product manager is somebody who manages products, right? And don't overthink it. It's as simple as that. Product manager is someone who manages product. However, so how do you manage product? From the conception till it gets to market, you make it better and you make money off it and you solve problems, blah, blah, blah. But we're going to walk through all of that, okay? Now, just the same way you think as a project manager. A project manager is somebody who manages projects, right? He sees to the complete, he or she sees to the complete delivery of a project, right? So you can look at a product manager from that angle. A product manager is that guy who's responsible for both product planning and product marketing. Remember, we say it's a cycle. It's a cycle, right? So you're responsible for product planning. You conceive the idea. You take it to. You do a lot of research. Users to understand what they would want, and you take it to engineering, you develop the product, you get stakeholders feedback in your organization, you develop the product, and you have to take it to market. You have to make money off it, and you have to take feedback and go back to the drawing board and repeat the cycle over and over again. So this includes managing the product throughout the product life cycle, gathering and prioritizing products and customers' requirements, defining product vision, working closely with engineering, and you deliver winning products, all right? So basically, a product manager does all of this while you're solving great customer problems. So that's why you're in the middle of this whole chaos. I wouldn't exactly call it chaos, but that's why you're in the middle of this. You're in the middle of the user experience, the business, and technology. All right, so what do we mean by UX? UX for short is user experience. So what do we mean by UX? So you're making sure to balance the needs of your users, right? So your users, you've gone to the field, you've listened, and one of the very, very great skill you need, very soft and sweet, is listening. You have to be able to listen and listen attentively. So you want to make sure to balance the needs of your users, right? You've taken their feedback, you now know their pain points, right? Then you go to your drawing board, you are able to itemize all of that, and you're able to itemize their needs. That's you gathering the requirements. That's you gathering your customer requirement, what they require, what they need, all right? And now you're also in the middle of tech. So as much as, yes, your customer needs this is their pain point, and you've taken all of those feedback, you're able to build something that is also technically feasible. It's something that is doable, right? So in the middle of this, communicating those requirements to your engineering team and all of that, you're building something that is feasible. And at the same time, you're fixing a business need for your organization, because you're not a product manager for charity. At the end of the day, you want to earn some money. You want to earn some money for your organization. You want to understand your company's business model, and you want to be sure that your product that you're building is fitting that business model, is furthering that business idea, or is furthering that business model, right? So yes, in short, you're a product manager and you do all of this together, right? Some people have, there's a saying that a product, right? Well, while that is true, it also has another non-CEO-like way to it. So you can imagine you're the one going to the field, gathering requirement, understanding your users' needs. You take it to engineering, and you're the one taking it back to market. You take feedback again, and the cycle continues and continues and continues, right? So basically, that is what a product manager do, in simple, short, and straight terms. Okay, so we're going to see again in details. While there are no restrictions, there are no definite definitions of what a product manager do. There are no definite to say that, these are the limits of a product manager. Of course, yes, there are some limits. There are some things that other teams have to do. However, it's not written in black and white. All right, it has many shades of gray. And how do I mean? You're just the same guy, right, look at the same guy, you're doing 6 or 7 things all at once. It's not to say that you do not have people who work with you. It's not to say that you do not have teams that are supporting you. However, you're seeing to every detail, you're seeing to everything, each of those things that they are doing. So first of all, you have a product mission. You're the one who define your product mission. You do not only define it, you own it. You're able to drive people to be able to fulfill that vision, right? Just like a CEO of a company would do. The CEO of a company will come up with a product mission, a company vision, a company core values, a company's mission statement, and all of that. So as a product manager, you're seeing yourself as a mini CEO because you own that product. It's your little baby and it must not fail. So yes, you define your product vision. What mission do I want my product to drive, right? You have it documented, you have clarity of thoughts, and you're able to communicate this to your team, right? You're that guy in the middle of a product market fit. What does that mean? Does the product solve the right problem for the market? Now, you're that product manager that you're trying to provide a solution to a problem. Remember, building a product, first of all, is you providing a solution to a problem, right? And if your solution that you're trying to push to become a product, if it doesn't fit or if it doesn't solve that problem at that particular time, that you may have to rethink it and go back to the drawing board and probably fine-tune it or refine it. All right, so you're in the middle of doing a product market fit. You're in the middle of business modeling. We've talked about it earlier. What is the business case that will continue to sustain product growth? What are the growth strategies you want to adopt? You're in the middle of all of this. You're in the middle of experimentation, hypothesis testing. Okay, if this doesn't work, if you have 2 test groups, because you want to be a data-driven product manager. I mean, we're going to talk about this later when we're talking about the skills, right? You want to be able to apply a specific data-driven approach to product decisions. I can't overemphasize this, especially for your marketing campaigns. At least let's even start from there. For your marketing campaigns, you may want to be able to understand, how do people respond to this feature most? Okay, so you want to be able to take feedback, or you want to be able to understand how people are interacting with a particular feature in your product. So you want to be able to understand, you want to be able to experiment. You could just divide it into 2 test groups. It's usually called an A/B testing. However, you want to be able to understand, okay, so how does group A react to this? How does group B react? Which one do we have most success rate in? Which one do we not have success rate? So what are we ditching for what, right? So you're in the middle of that. Prioritization is another thing a product manager do. How do I decide what features to build next? I mean, you've gone to the field, you've taken feedback. Maybe you've taken feedback from your product. You're now at your desk. You're trying to you're in the middle of trying to prioritize. Okay, so what is a must-have that this product should have? What is a must-have feature, or what is a nice-to-have feature that it's a nice-to-have feature, or something to say. It's just like when you're trying to eat. When you say you want to have a full meal, you have your your appetizer, you have the main course meal, and you have probably your dessert or your side dish. I mean, you want to be able to identify, okay, the end goal is for me to eat and have energy, right? Whether appetizer or dessert or anything, you want to, the end meal that your focus will be on. While it is good to have your appetizer, it is good to have your dessert or your side dish, but is that main meal you want to focus on because you want energy at that same time. So it basically also applies to prioritization. What do you want to prioritize in your product? What do you want to prioritize? What features are necessary to make a customer happy or to achieve a particular goal? All right, the next is design thinking. You want to be able to understand what the experience you give your users while they're navigating through your product. How does my user interact with my product? And the last, metrics and measurement. The last, I mean, as far as the slide is concerned, I mean, these things are you can't exhaust them. So metrics and measurement, how do I track the progress and success of the product? This you as a product manager, you're in the middle of all of this, and you're able to juggle all of them. So you define the mission, you define the vision, high level problem, and what the success of a product look like as a product manager. You translate the product vision. You remember the product vision can just be a short and concise sentence. However, you break that vision into day-to-day activities that the team can run with. Your product vision is very important, such that each member of your team, they can go back and see the product vision, and they are able to look at the activity they are doing on a daily basis. How does this align with the product vision? Am I doing something out of what the vision for this product is? Your product vision, defining and driving your product vision is very essential. All right, this day-to-day activity could be defining requirements. We've talked about it, breaking it down to stories, managing day-to-day backlog. All right, so you have been able to get feedback from your customer or from your user on the field, or your potential user if it's a totally new product. You're able to break it down into simple stories. You're able to break it down into simple stories from your customer's perspective or from your user's perspective. And usually these are called user stories, right? You're able to break it down into simple stories for engineering to be able to implement. You're able to manage your day-to-day backlog. That is, okay, what next are we supposed to do today? Have I pushed this to engineering? What initiative are we bringing into this product? What are we doing today? And you're able to manage all of that, all right? You're able to manage, push what you want to push to engineering. You want to, the ones that is supposed to go to compliance and risk, the one that is supposed to go to marketing, you're able to manage all of those backlogs. A PM is responsible for a product and its success, taking CEO-like responsibilities, but doing it in a non-CEO-like way, such as influencing without authority. This is very important. In fact, this is I wouldn't exactly say it's the most important aspect of a product manager's life. As much as, people say, you're the CEO of a product, at the same time, you have to do these things, responsibilities, in a non-CEO-like way, right? Because you have to influence without any authority. You're working with a group of people, and we're going to get there soon. So basically, the role of a PM is not black and white, but many shades of gray. So let's quickly talk about the skills that is needed to become a PM. All right, and I'm going to basically talk about 10 skills in general. I'll break them into 2, a mixture of hard and soft skills. We're going to talk about 6 hard skills, and we're going to talk about 4 soft skills. So before we go ahead, I'd like to know if we have any question. I can take a question or 2, or if I'm too fast, if you need a clarification, so that we can move faster. I see a lot of more people have joined the room. If you have a question, you can drop it for me in the chat box, and I'll be reading. Yeah. Okay, so, or if you want to ask a question live, you can raise your hand, and would allow you to do that. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that, we're just going to continue to talk about the skills you would need to become a product manager. So we'll talk about the hard skills, and we'll talk about the soft skills. Now, number 1 hard skill you need to become a product manager, in fact, very, very first one, you have to have a product solving skill or a product solving mindset. Remember, you're trying to solve a particular problem for your user. You're trying to become what's it called now? You're trying to really, really solve a problem for your user. That's why you're building the product in the first place. So you have to have a problem solving mindset. That is, so your user gives you a feedback that, or maybe a random, maybe your friend, or people in your community, in your group, they gave you, they gave you a particular pain point, something that is paining them. And as a product manager, right, you should be able to look into that and say, okay, this is a pain point. We should be able to find a solution to it. So let me give you an example to add more context to it. So let's say you're building, or your product is an e-commerce site, let's say like a Jumia. I want to believe everybody in this class will know what a Jumia is, or Amazon, or Alibaba. e-commerce, basically. So for the sake of, okay, so I'll probably go with Jumia. So now, and you're the product manager for Jumia, and a user gave you feedback like, oh, let's assume that on Jumia, you can't track your orders. I mean, you've ordered your fantastic, maybe you even ordered a particular birthday gift for someone, and you would like the birthday gift to be delivered to the person. I mean, you don't want to miss that date. You want it to be delivered to you that's some days before the person's birthday or something. I mean, you know, the feeling that comes with giving somebody a birthday gift. And you just realize that you're unable to track your order. I mean, there's no feature like that. There's no order tracking. You can't track your order. And one of your users gives you that particular feedback. That's a pain point in its own. You wouldn't want to overlook it. But you want to find a way to solve that problem, because I mean, how many other customers are like that who would like to be able to know the status of their order every now and then along the way? Okay, so as my order left the warehouse, is it in transit already? If it is in transit, where in transit is it? Or when am I likely to expect or get take delivery of this order? So that is a problem. It's not even you have to have a problem solving skill such that you take that feedback, take it back to your backlog, and you now prioritize. Remember we'll talk about. So you prioritize. Oh, what priority do I want to make this order tracking feature to be? Is it priority 0? Is it priority 5? Or it's no priority at all? All right. So basically, that's just to add context to it, to say you have to have a problem solving mindset to be able to. You have to be able to find easy solutions to problems. All right. Another thing you want to skill you want to have as a product manager is have a strong passion for tech, right? Now, having a strong passion for technology, it doesn't mean that you have to know how to code, no, or you have to be a gadget freak. Well, maybe, but no, not necessarily. Or you have to be or you have to be in the coding environment or community, not necessarily. All right. However, you have to understand the basics. You have to understand how the internet works. You have to understand how apps work. You have to understand how the web works. You have to understand how these things interact with one another, how they communicate. I mean, you have to be curious about these things, right? You have to understand what was the need for us in the future of technology. You have to be able to embrace technology, excited about tech news, right? You have to keep yourself abreast of new technologies, news and information. All right, you have to be able to understand it, because I mean, you don't want to get to your stand-up meeting one morning and you're asking funny questions, or you don't want to sound silly. You don't want to sound silly to your engineers, or you don't want them to dribble you, if I can use the word dribble, right? So yes, you have to have a strong passion for tech. You have to be able to figure out how technology is helping us solve problems today. All right. I mean, a technology that was helping us solve problem in the last 2 decades was something like a floppy disk, a diskette, right? I mean, people who are probably millennials or the early Gen Zs might have seen a diskette before. A diskette was solving problem for us that year, right? However, we're in 2021. A diskette can't solve problems for us again. So you have to continuously be abreast of new technology and how they are helping us solve problems today. All right. Now, another hard skill that you need to learn, or that you need to have rather, as a product manager, is user understanding. Oh, we can't overemphasize this. You have to understand things from the perspective of your customer. I mean, switch tables, right? For once or two, or twice, or every time, right? So basically, you have to be able to empathize. You have to be able to put yourself in their shoes. You have to be able to understand from their perspective, basically. You have to have a deep understanding of your users, go all out, interview them, build something that they love and that would solve their problem. For example, if your product is a B2B for enterprise, I mean, B2B in this regards would mean business to business. So, which means you're probably building a corporate solution. I mean, that's a thinner market size. By thinner, I mean it's not a retail product that every individual would use. Maybe it's only corporate, maybe it's only enterprises that would use them, right? But because you are an individual, you may not have a full understanding, but however, because you are also the product manager and you want to solve that problem, you have to step into the shoes into those enterprises to be able to understand, listen to them, to be able to understand what they really, really want. Okay, you have to have a good user understanding, and it's a very essential skill. Okay, moving on. We'll talk about the last as a product manager. All right, you have to have a good eye for design. And how do I mean? I mean, this having a good eye for design does not necessarily mean color schemes and all of that. Well, that's part of it. However, you want to be able to understand how your users would interact with your product, how they will navigate through your product. Is it easy for them to navigate through? Do they have a very fantastic experience? Do they feel good and easy to use your product? Do they find it easy to use your product, or they have to find their way and be stumbling upon things and try things out? Oh, maybe this is what will work for this. You have to be able to have a good eye for design, so you understand what really makes a good user experience, what design really bring about good and bad experiences, and you should make your distinctions. You should make those your distinctions, then build a product that's easy for your users. One example I really like to use is, maybe I'm a rice seller. I sell rice. This time around, I'm not talking about technology products, right? And I want people to buy my rice or eat my rice, and I'm saying, oh, a plate of rice goes for 1,000. Come and buy from me. A plate of rice goes for 1,000. I mean, that's relatively fair enough. I mean, a plate of rice, and I say, oh, it has chicken wings, or maybe roasted chicken and all of that, and it has plantain and all of that. However, I now open your pack of, maybe it's even takeaway pack. I open your pack of plate of rice, and I didn't see chicken. I didn't see plantain, but you told me it had all of these things. However, well, since I didn't see all of that, and I didn't see stew, a fried nice stew on top of it, I just saw plain white rice. I mean, I would feel bad, like, oh, I feel cheated. And this guy told me, oh, he has chicken, he has plantain, and I'm even, by default, I'm looking for stew. But as I kept eating, I also saw the chicken underneath the rice. I saw the plantain at the other side under the rice. Then I saw the stew under the rice. What kind of experience is that? That is not, I mean, you left me to be figuring it out on myself. I mean, that's not what I want to have. I want to see my chicken. I want to see my plantain where I need to see them. And I want to see the stew looking beautiful on top of my rice, right? So yes, that is a very simple example of you having a good eye for design. Your user experience has to be very easy, straight to the point. You don't leave your users hanging. You don't want to leave them to be guessing things out. Make it straight and simple and sweet and short for them. All right. Another hard skill that is required for you as a product manager is you have to have a great business perspective. I mean, as much as you want to solve a problem, you want to solve a problem, identify pain points and all of that. You're in this thing to make money, especially because you work in an organization, right? So you have to have a strong business sense. I mean, at some point, while your product is going through some growth phases, you're going to be partnering with other third parties and all of that. You still have to have a very strong business perspective. All right, your solution has to make money, right? It has to impact your company's P&L, okay? And you have to keep an eye on the company's business model and how your product is furthering that business model. So your company's strategic goal for the next 5 years, they've communicated that to you. I mean, top to bottom, they've communicated that to you. Whatsoever product you're building in that space of time has to be in alignment with the organization's strategic goals. Whatsoever you're building, I mean, all businesses have a forecast of where they want to be at the end of the year. All right. Whatsoever product you're building should also be meeting that revenue goals. Should also be, you were hired because they believe you're smart, which you're smart. They believe, oh, you add to the bottom line of this particular company. That's why you're hired. So you want to be able to bring out innovative products that would impact the company's profit and loss statement, that would impact the company's comprehensive income. Okay. Now, the last skill we're going to talk about as far as this masterclass is concerned for hard skills a product manager needs would be analytical skills. I talked briefly about it earlier. Analytical skills. You have to be analytical and data driven. I mean, we're in 2021, yeah, trillions, after trillion, I don't know which other words you have. Yeah, I mean, there's huge data available for you, for us. I mean, raw data, right? For us to analyze and be able to make decisions from them, right? You have to be analytical and data driven. Products are being used by millions of people and they have generated huge amount of data. I mean, as people are using products, as you're using your WhatsApp, as you're using your Google Map, right? You're generating data. You're generating data every now and then. You have to love numbers. I mean, you can't run away from this. You have to love numbers. You have to look at data, understand why your users are using a product or not, and drive that insight. So we want to understand, why are they dumping my product? Maybe they're even dumping your product for a competition. Is it the pricing, or is it this particular feature? Oh, it could be something as simple as you shifting a feature from a left panel or a left side menu to a right side menu. It can be something as simple as that. It can be something as simple as redesigning the dashboard. It can be anything. However, your data is going to tell you all of this, right? So you have to love numbers, look at your data and drive insight from it. From your data, you're able to know what is next. What is the next thing your users are looking for in your products? Then act on that feedback or act on what your data tells you. Your data is never wrong, and then you build it. Okay, so let's quickly talk about the soft skills you need as a product manager. All right, so we are basically going to talk about 4 soft skills. Leading without authority. We've talked about you being a CEO, a mini CEO, but you have to do your job in a non-CEO like way, okay? So you can be working out of a 10 or 20 people in a team of 20, and Joel. Now, Joel works in an agile environment. Joel has been assigned 2 projects. You may not even have any team member working with you. You own the product. You own those 2 projects from top to bottom. Those 2 projects are your new babies. You see them through. Nobody is reporting to you per se. However, you're working in a team. You're trying to coordinate your team. You're working in a team of your UX research, product design team. Then you're working with engineering manager. Then you have to work with your marketing guys and all of that. And you are the one driving all of this, right? Everybody would call you to ask questions and all of that. I mean, you have to work with your customer experience people. You have to pass on the goodwill to them, all right, to your team. Yeah, fine. Well, most times all the bad stuff come to you. All right. So why I said all the bad stuff come to you. So let's say your product has an e-commerce, or maybe a user has called you out on Twitter. I mean, Niger Twitter, a typical Nigerian Twitter environment. One thing they will ask, excuse me, if that gets to maybe your line manager or the management, the first thing is, who is the product manager? Nobody even wants to know who dropped the ball. Maybe it was even the marketing guys that dropped the ball, or somebody dropped the ball. But the first thing they want to ask is, who is your product manager? Who is the product manager managing this product? And I say, oh, it's Joel. Now, Joel, you are not the one who is at fault. Or you've communicated everything to every team. Everybody was supposed to do something normal. But no, you are the product manager. You take the blame, at least first. You take the blame, then you go back to your team and say, guys, we didn't do this well. How better can we do this? How can we fix this? This has happened. You have to think of a way forward. You have to think of a way out of it. Okay, this is where your soft influence comes in, okay? You have to lead without authority. Teamwork. You have to be able to strongly communicate with your team. I mean, and would I say this is the most tedious part of it? Or, well, maybe not entirely, depending on how you're able to manage this. Now, teamwork in engineers, your front end people in that your testers, your QA, and then people in marketing, you have people in sales. Let's just say in total 20 people. Now, you know, these 20 people, everybody has the idea they want to push, like they want to always communicate. And you know, yeah, the idea can be fantastic, and at some point, some people may want to do things their own way. Okay, you need to be able to respect people, be able to respect their views, their way of doing things. However, at the same time, you need to be able to rally them together. You need to be able to do that with love. So see this guy, you're able to use your brain, use your mind effectively, and be able to do that in a loving manner, if I could use that word, right? So you need to be able to rally them. You need to be able to rally everyone together, and to do that, you need to be able to communicate effectively. You need clarity of thought, right? And you should be able to translate that on paper so that everyone can follow the vision for your product. Do not forget, you are responsible for your product vision, and you're take vision. Ability to feedback. As a product manager, there's going to be a lot of negative feedback. A whole lot of negative feedback. And the most annoying ones would be from within your organization. You would get infuriated because the way some people will pass their feedback to you would be very disgusting. However, do not take it personal, because some people will just feel you don't know what you're doing. And yes, it would at some point feel like you do not know what you're doing, or you're doing something wrong. However, where you win the case is how you're able to take that feedback. All right, how you're able to take that feedback, you're able to absorb it, and you do not take it personally. All right, instead, you see what you can learn out of it and use that negative feedback to improve your product. All right, you should be able to know what to filter out, and what if you're starting out at first, it could be annoying. It would get to you at some point, but over time, you're able to prune things and filter things out, and you're able to take the necessary feedback and implement and act on it. Or ability to take feedback. In fact, your customers are going to give you some feedback in a nasty way. Do not take it personally. Everybody just wants a better product to solve their problem. Okay. All right. Because let me give a typical example. If you were a product manager for a mobile app or something, and a user is in the hospital, maybe the child is ill, or the child needs an emergency surgery, and they are trying to transfer money to the hospital because the hospital said they cannot do surgery without money or without a deposit. And this guy tries to use your app to make this transfer. And that is the point your app decided to be, unfortunate. How do you think when that customer or when that user wants to give you rating on Google App Store or on Google Play Store, or wants to give you a feedback, if you send a feedback form to them or something, they're going to say it in the most nasty way they can. But you do not blame them. They must have experienced something disgusting while trying to use your product at a particular time. So that's why you do not have to take feedback personally. People react to things differently, and you really do not know the circumstance they are in while trying to use your product for that. It's technology. There are times these glitches happen, or you've not thought things through totally. It happens. So do not take feedback personally. However, instead, absorb it, filter out the ones you do not need, and act on the relevant ones. Now, the last skill we're going to be talking about is prioritization. Prioritization, in prioritizing, you have to be ruthless. Like, you have to cut all the ones you can cut to not being so priority, and you have to move the ones that are very, very important to being your priority. Okay, you need to be able to prioritize what your users really want, or at the same time you need to be able to prioritize what your users want in line with the available resources in your organization at the time. Okay, as much as your users want this feature, that feature, and all of that, you don't want to bombard your product with too many features. Anyway, that's story for another day. You want to be able to, at the same time, know that, oh, because we do not have the resource to do this just yet, and you have to go to market. For example, if you do not have the resource to probably do a particular feature at that time, probably there's no resource on the team at that time that is available. Maybe the other resources, they are, by resource, I mean maybe an engineering resource now, or maybe they are doing something, they are involved in another project, or maybe, oh, the company is still trying to hire, maybe that particular, there is no resource that knows how to write a particular programming language on ground, and that's the same programming language you need to achieve that particular product. You don't have to sit without until you're saying, oh, until we have resource. So no, you should be able to prioritize what your users really want, also in line with the resources that you have on ground. All right, you want to get to the market in time. You don't want your competitor to get to the market before you. Well, while it is not a fight, at some point, at the same time, you do not want to stall too much. Okay, you want to be able to make sure you're on top of every detail when you're building the product. Make sure it gets shipped on time. Of course, you're going to be judged on whether the product makes it to the user or not. I mean, that's the entire goal now. You want to solve a problem. You want to address the customer's pain points, but you never got your idea or your product backlog to engineering, or they never even in a very fast-paced world, man, people either jump your product and jump to competition, or just find an alternative. And you don't want that happening to you, because it's way more difficult to bring your people back, or to bring your users back when they've left you. It's way more difficult and more expensive. Okay, so this is all the skills that you need to become a product manager. Right, so I want to believe that I've been able to answer some questions. So I would be looking forward to answering questions. I'm in the chat box now. I'll be looking to answering questions right now, so that we can give space for the other session or for the other speaker. Okay, so there's a question in the chat, but what is the place of communication in becoming a good product manager? Olatunde, please, did I answer your question in the course of the presentation? I guess this has been here for a while. I mean, this question has been here for a while. Have I answered your question before now, or you'd like me to take that again? Oh, thank you, Olatunde. So Josh is asking, where do you get customer behavior data from? Okay, so your customer behavior data, or data generally, right? Now, while you're building your product, one of the things, or one of the requirements you want to put, remember when we talked about metrics, go to, at the end of the day, I mean, on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, depending on the frequency you want to define, you want to be able to get to you want engineering to be able to give you a portal, a database that is recording all the data, or all the things your users are doing with your product. So for example, you want to build a solution with a USSD solution. You want to, at the end of the day, be able to know how many number of successful USSD sessions did I have? How many number of USSD failed sessions do I have? Which telecommunication networks is failing the most? Which one is most successful? Or what do people do most? That's a behavior question. What do people do most on my USSD channel? There are like about three major, or three, what's it called now? There are about three popular transactions people do with USSD. Maybe they buy airtime, people buy airtime, maybe people transfer, or people pay bills, your DSTV bills. So you want to be able to know, okay, so which of these transactions that I put on my USSD, which of these do my customer interact with the most? I can tell you for free, that one is airtime people buy mostly on USSD. So I'm saying this from a data point because I have the data at the back of my head, right? Me myself, I know whenever I dial star 737 or star 901, is airtime I want to buy, right? Because it's easy and straight to the point. I don't want to log into my mobile app and all of that. So yes, your customer data, you have to you put that also into your reporting requirement while you're trying to write out your product documentation, your requirement documents, so that you have access to this report at the end of the day, at the end of each day, each week, or each month, depending. That's the way you measure and track the success of your product. I hope I answered your question, Joshua.
Let me put this as back.
Did I answer your question? You can put it in the chat to say yes or no, then I can take it again.
Yes, sir.
Did I answer your question, Joshua? A mic is on. Any other questions?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Joshua. Any other question, please?
Yes.
Okay, so Brian, I think I'm just saying, what is the major difference between project manager and a product manager? Wow, this is a question that, what's the word now? This is a question that frequently comes up when we're talking about product management. I mean, some people just, oh, it's just like project management. Okay. Now, here's the gist. Here's a simple way I like to look at it, especially when it comes to, because there are some organizations where a project manager is confused with a product manager. Remember, a product manager is streamlined to a product. However, a project manager is more widely, what's the word now? It is widely, what's the word? It has a wider scope. By wider scope, I mean a project manager can be a software project manager. It can be a general project manager that you're seeing to the execution of projects. Now, in a project manager's case, a project manager is basically given what, so a client tells you, oh, this is the project that I want to do, and this is what I want to achieve with it. Finish. Go figure it out. I will give you, go figure it out. The client either say, I'll give you resources, or you source your resource, or you source for resource. However, a project manager's main focus is about, oh, we've given you what we want to do, flesh it out, execute it, finish. A product manager in this case is more like, the product manager's job is in response to what his or her user is saying. Now, a product manager comes into play because a user or a random user has said, oh, I wish there was a solution to this problem I'm having. I wish I could do this. Then a product manager starts conceptualizing that idea, starts putting things together, asking more questions around more users. A product manager goes all out to be able to be sure and validate that hypothesis, whether that problem is a valid problem that needs a solution. If there are no existing solution in the market for it, even if there's existing solutions, are there better ways it can be done, right? Better and easier ways it can be done. A product manager goes all out and gathers all those requirements, comes back to the drawing board, and ensures that that product gets implemented and gets to the market, and still continues going out again, taking more feedback on the product. I mean, it's a cycle. A project manager, once he or she executes a project, guy is done, on to the next, right? I hope I was able to answer that question, Brian. Okay. Brian, you're also asking what's the difference between a product manager and a product owner, right? I believe that's the question. Is that correct? I believe you're asking for the difference. Okay, cool. All right. So a product manager, a product owner. Now, again, depending on what environment you're working in some organizations, these are mostly intertwined. However, they have distinctions. A manager. Now, from the words, the difference is the owner and the manager, right? Now, a product owner's role is more streamlined around the internal teams. Now, how do I mean? A product owner already has the requirement, has already gathered his requirement, has documented it, has broken it down to stories, has put in the backlog, is communicating to is basically communicating to the Scrum team, or it's communicating to his team. All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves as far as this master's class is concerned. The guy has communicated to the team. They've implemented, they've done testing and all of that, and they've gone live. That's a product owner. A product manager, however, is that guy that takes his father. And how do I mean father? A product manager's role majorly is coming from the field, comes inside, goes to the field, comes back inside. So his own role is more revolving. I do not know if I explained that well. Now, what I mean is a product manager's role extends further into as they are distinct. In fact, they are even distinct or different certificates. Owns the product backlog, yes, and the guy also is that guy that is engaging internal stakeholders to say that, compliance, this is a product, I want to demo a product to you. What do you think? What else? What other requirements do you think we need? Okay, this is a third-party partner we're trying to onboard. You can see that a product manager is also, as much as he's inside, he's also outside, because he's business-wise, he's thinking, okay, so as much as you want to make money, you want to solve problem, I'm thinking of business too. So a product manager is asking compliance. A product manager, is engaging internal stakeholders. Let's say compliance, is engaging operations, is engaging the risk team, is engaging the information security team, is engaging all internal stakeholders to be sure he has everything put together. Then implements, then is that guy also who sees to the go-to-market. He has a marketing team working with him, of course. He's also in the middle of that. When the marketing reports come in, he's interested in those figures, he's interested in his numbers. That guy is an all-rounder, and that's why you want to become a product manager. Did I answer your question, Brian?
Yes, you did.
Thank you. Oh, somebody said I'm breaking. Did you hear me well? Did you hear me fantastically well?
Yeah, you broke for a while, then you came back.
But were you able to catch up?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Any other question? Any other question?
So do we have any other question for Oluwatayo? Okay, I guess there's none for now. So thank you very much, Oluwatayo, for this session. This was a great session, and I think everyone else also felt the same. We'll be sending out the slides to others in case network will go through, and then we record it as well. So thank you very much. Can we all say just one word to thank Oluwatayo in the chat box? Just one word to just thank her in the chat box. Just type in one word or a
you.
sentence. So I appreciate that for the time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you to Mercy. Okay.
All right, thank you very much, Oluwatayo. I would like to state again that this is Printify Masterclass, and this masterclass is a sessions to introduce the Printify Product School. If you want to get more skills, more knowledge, and grow or start a career in product management, and also grow your career in product management, the Printify Product School is available for that. And I have just put in the link to register for the Printify Product School. We would like you to register, and as you register, you get information from us. The product school is a 5-week training class that will help you to get more knowledge in product management. And we have instructors like Oluwatayo, who will also be one of our instructors in the product school. And you get to meet her more and have one-on-one sessions with her. So we'd like you to register, and you receive an email from us. Okay, so I think we just go next to the next speaker, without wasting much
Hello.
time. Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, Gemini. I think there's a question. Somebody wants to ask a question.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay, so thank you for this session, even though I joined quite late. So let me just go straight to my question, so I won't waste our time. So my question is this: for your product school, do you is it online or physical? Because I have interest in product school, product management. I just finished a course in product management, though I didn't really feel the vibe for the training. So maybe because it's virtual, I don't know, but I would really like a physical training where someone will hold me by my hands and put me through what the process is like. So I don't know, is yours also virtual or physical? Thank you.
Thank you, Promise. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. So the product school is blended. We have an online part of it and also a physical. Blended is the sense that you'll be given assignments to do online, and also have some projects to do online. But we also have physical classes where you get to build some products, and also, have collaboration sessions with other participants in the class, and also with the instructors. So it's a blended class. Have I answered your question, Promise?
Yes, you have. You have. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And more information will also be sent to you on the structure of the class, the dates, the times, when you register.
Okay, that would be awesome. Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you very much. Okay. Is there any other question from anyone? Okay. So we'll just move ahead with Olatunde, as we'll be speaking on unlocking the fundamentals of agile supply chain management in product management. We will start now so that we can also conclude on it early. All right, thank you very much. And let's give it up for Olatunde as he starts his session.
All right. Good morning, everybody. I think we've had a lot of information this morning. We've had a lot of information this morning already from Oluwatayo with respect to product management. I think it's just been something worthwhile. Thank you. So maybe just a brief introduction to me. My name is Olatunde Olafimihan. More of a technology management expert, so look into technology management and how to use it to provide a competitive advantage for organizations, for companies, so that they're able to derive much more value. So this morning, I'll be sharing briefly on how to use agile supply chain management, unlocking it in product management. Just like Oluwatayo has spoken, she's spoken extensively with respect to what you need to do as a product manager, how to become a product manager, and just a second. All right. All right, sorry, I was just trying to change my position. All right, so just a minute. All right, so basically, just run through how to use supply chain management to unlock product management. It's just some bit of it that most people don't look at supply chain management when it comes to product management. Everybody talks about just the product, forgetting the fact that there are support structures that makes it work. So part of the discussion we'll be having today will be what you do with supply chain management to make the necessary changes. All right, so basically we'll be looking at some key principles, how those key principles play out, and what you can do with those key principles as well. Just basically what we'll be looking at. So I'll start by which I think we've had a lot in this masterclass already, with respect to what product management is. I think by now we all have an idea of what it is. Oluwatayo just shared in the middle of what it is. So you look at user experience, technology, the business, and just right in the middle of that is where you have product management. It looks at what the customer wants. So basically, in times past, it's been on cost consciousness, but at the moment, the typical customer has moved away from cost consciousness to being able to derive value from what they're getting. So we're looking at the supply chain methodology that is data-driven and more strategic in nature than what it used to be. So when you look at supply chain as a subset or as a support structure for product management, you'll be looking at how it's going to make the desired changes that you're looking at towards delivering value to your customers. Product management, as everybody knows by now, you push values looking at the product, developing the product, positioning and pricing. And from a perspective of, we've moved agile beyond just software development. So we're beginning to put agile in every facet of what we do. And basically that's just one of the core things we need to learn. Now, in terms of agile supply chain, we'll look at the procurement part of it, which most times is what people refer to. Everybody talks about procurement. Procurement in itself is just a subset of supply chain management. Procurement is just to buy. You want to buy whatever you want in terms of giving some stuff to what you need to deliver. But you need to look at procurement as the entire process of getting goods you need fulfilling that business need for a customer. So whatever product you want to deliver, procurement will help you to just process the goods and deliver what it is. But in actual sense, the supply chain management will look at your contracting, will look at your planning, will look at needs identification, will look at sourcing, corporate governance, risk management, supply relationship, and regulatory compliance. So with supply chain management, you're looking at something which much more bigger than procurement. Now, the agile supply chain itself looks at how you respond to all those process faster than what it is as well, where agile talks about iterative delivery, being able to do your delivery iteratively. So you're talking about supply chain management in a phase whereby you're able to do it in small chunks, as against looking at the bigger picture all at a go. So what used to happen in times past was, if you want to do supply chain management, you order for all the goods at once. So you have a warehouse, you need to store it, you need to have staffs. But these days, things are most past that. So you can actually start ordering what you want in such a way that it becomes iterative. Yeah, you might have a contract with your supplier whereby you've booked down what you want, but it also means that you are able to take it in just the small chunks that you need to deliver your service one at a time, as against a bigger picture. So supply chain in product management will look at the functions and how to provide all this basic functions, from contracting to everything that you will be able to deliver. You're looking at how to provide resources that will help you to deliver on your product. You're looking at the process that will help you to predict and deliver appropriately at every point in time. So in supply chain, with choosing supply chain within product management looks at the much more bigger picture than just a minute one. So you're looking at how is it, how do I put agility in what I want to deliver to my customer. Yes, you have your product at the end of it, but the by and large of it is the fact that you're also able to iteratively deliver on that product. And part of it is also the fact that you need to have a product roadmap. There needs to be a product roadmap for you in product management, which helps you with a framework on how you want to release your product, how you want your product to reach your customers, how you responding to the shift in what you want to deliver. So the bigger picture of what everybody looks at is the fact that there's a product, and I'm talking beyond the typical just softwares now at this point. So I'm looking at, in terms of product management deals with a whole lot of product. So let's take it out of the basic product management that we have today, which focuses on the IT bit. So you can use product management also for your other product, which I think we'll see later with some examples of some case study that I highlighted somewhere in the middle of this presentation. Please, if there's anything, I can be stopped. If you have questions, please let me know, so that it makes it a bit easier. Just don't want to be the one just talking and talking. If there's any form of questions, please do let me know. Now, basically, looking at the characteristics of supply chain, there are 4 basic characteristics of supply chain. You have the proactive design, you have the innate flexibility, you have cost effectiveness, and you have looking at profitability of what you want to do, which is a big key in what it is. So you're looking at profitable production and distribution workflow. This 4 characteristics helps you to be able to bring out the right product at every point in time. So in agile supply chain, you looked at how fast you can quickly make your decision, how fast you can change your decision, how fast can you help your customers in their product to be able to do that. You've got a lot of flexibility also built into it, while looking at cost effectiveness of your operations. So by and large, you're talking about the fact that agile supply chain within product management is not just about creating a process flow. It's about guiding the organization on how to run better. Inherent in that vision will be these 4 characteristics that helps you to take a better decision and move forward. And as we've seen over a period of time, you found that teams that practices this find themselves better enhanced in delivery of service. And they're not categorized as late adopters or laggards in the business. Now, so to speak more about those characteristics is, you look at the fact that it's the environment has changed. So you imagine what COVID-19 brought to the whole world. If you're not iterative in your delivery, the question is, you'll most probably be almost out of business. So we're saying with that, as a product management supply chain will help you in terms of imbibing a proactive decision making. You're able to respond to the industry, the disruptions. You're able to respond to whatever your customers want. You're able to provide a better decision real time. Oluwatayo mentioned about data. In the middle of all of this, data is something that is key that you deal with at every point in time. So the question about it is, you have to keep on dealing with data. You'll have to be able to use the data. You'll have to be able to mine the data to be able to use it appropriately. In addition to this, the fact that you have operational changes, it's clearly communicated at every point in time. You also have the innate flexibility as one of the characteristics. So agile supply chain look at how you are quickly able to adapt to the market, to the vendors, to consumers, to demand, how you're able to shift what you do internally and making a much more strategic priority and decisions. It looks more at data being collected and the fact that at every point in time, you're able to look at what tomorrow holds with your customers. So you're not just taking a decision in silo, you're looking at the bigger picture of it. Also, it takes into characteristic the fact that you are able to run a cost-effective operation. So it's not just about objectivity alone. You're able to focus on how fluid your processes are, how flexible they can be, which helps you to cut losses. You're able to quickly respond. You're able to look at inventory disruption. So, for example, imagine what a business like Jumia will have gone through with COVID-19. You are then in the middle of it, and at some point there were no things coming in from Asia, China to be specific, which was where everybody was getting stuff from. So at some point, you need to be able to reevaluate your operation. So a couple of the companies just said, okay, if we're going to get things from China, let's find other means of being able to get it. If we can't get directly from China, do we take from China to another country first? So you need to be a bit predictive in what you're doing to be able to ensure that your project management delivery is also up to this top notch. And in terms of productivity, profitability, distribution workflow, they're able to combine everything in terms of, so you talk about lean management, being able to cut waste, excesses. So you look at the best approach that will help you to increase business profit. And that's part of what agile supply chain gives you at any point in time. You're able to quickly develop better. You're able to quickly take some decisions within your distribution and between the basic workflow for product development. Now, there are some key factors also that we need to look at that you need to take into consideration at every point in time when you look at product management. You look at the fact that in the middle of whatever you want to produce, so you're likely going to have increase in cost of raw materials, which could be due to 1,001 decisions. So you need to create some bit of flexibility into this. There's the possibility of increase in labor cost due to shortages. So imagine COVID-19 happen, any other thing can have happened, and you have a lot less people that are available for you to do your work. Yes, you've got strikes as well. We might not have much of this in Nigeria per se because labor laws are not that strong. But imagine if you're anywhere else around the world, even in Ghana or South Africa or Kenya, labor laws are a bit stronger. So imagine you not taking into consideration the fact that you can have strikes, the disruption disruptions to networks. So you have networks supporting your product in being able to deliver your product to your customers. Imagine there's a disruption in that network, or there's a disruption due to normal natural calamities. So there's a thunderstorm that's taking everything off. So question is, how agile have you created your supply chain so that you can respond to this better? There are also legal factors that could crop up at any point in time. So it's either these legal factors are existing or something new comes up and the country decides that, okay, this is how we used to do it. We've now decided that we would change the structure of company ownership, for an example. So what means is you have a structure, there's a new law, and you need to quickly change it. You need to be able to react quickly. And there are also political factors that you need to take into consideration at every point in time when it comes into product management and how agile supply chain can help you. Now, let's look at some meat of what we've been talking about, which is how do we unlock agile supply chain? How do we use it in product management? We want to unlock product management. I want to use agile supply chain in unlocking that. The key fundamentals, the things we can practice, the things we can look forward to. So I'll just list a few of those fundamentals. One key fundamental is continuous forecasting. As we know, agile development deals with iterativeness. Specifically, we're looking at the way it is. You know, it talks about how well you can make changes, how well you can take things done. So we're saying, how do you continuously aim to develop and release new product? How do you do new increments? So we're saying that agile supply chain borrows an idea from this. So there's continuous release, there's continuous forecasting while you're doing your product management, while you're trying to release a product. So you're continuously forecasting, you're continuously looking at, okay, what can I do? What is supply chain providing for me? You're continuously forecasting on those things that are support functions. How do I get more of this? What is my reorder level? How do I get my reorder levels fast tracked? So the truth is, unlike the software world, supply chain deals with physical goods. That's what I said. Taking this whole concept is not looking at it just from a software developer. So you look at the fact that they're physical goods. How do you look at the forecast? How do you look at what are those things that you need to bring on board? How do you leverage on them to get it better? So it's a bigger picture that you need to cut on things what you need to do for your product, or whatever you want to do. So take, for example, Apple is meant to release a new version. Affecting. So question is, what have they done? They've continuously looked at forecasting. So what microchips do we need? How do we get it? So it's continuously looking at, okay, so what's the number of orders that we get at every point in time. So you look at the fact that they also have the data that they mine. So they look at, so do we get the majority of our requests from the United States, or is it from Europe, or is it from any other place? So even if it's in the United States, which of the states, how do we get it? So, and this becomes something that they put into a box that they're able to use to take a better decision iteratively at the end of the day. They also look at the fact that they're cross-functional organization with highly visible processes. You need to create that. You need to be able to use cross-functional organization within your team. You need to expose your team. So each business unit knows what exactly is happening. You're top down, bottom up, everybody knows what it is. So there's a relationship, there's an handshake. You know how A works with B to be able to deliver service, so that at the end of the day, your product comes out. So it's not people working in their just their cubicle, knowing, oh, this is my bit, let me just fix my bit. Let me just do A, let him do B. It looks more at the fact that at the end of the day, you're able to do a lot much more. It looks at the exposure for each of them. It looks at improved communication and collaboration, which at the end of the day gives you that product that you're looking at. And the moment you can get that you're the place where it's easier to deal with things. You're the place where you can easily do much more. You're able to deliver your goods to people as against what it is. The other thing that you can do to unlock your product with agile supply chain is looking at the fact that organizational and process flexibility is impacted into it. That basically talks about how agile principle dictates how organization and processes now becomes more flexible. Remember that agile looks at the fact that you're able to respond to your customers quickly than what it is. So we're saying, hey, being able to respond to them, being able to get it done, being able to do things like product postponement, decoupling, infuse a lot of flexibility in what you want to do, so that you also can respond to your market. The market itself is actually tomorrow. Things change, so there are a lot of factors that comes into play. There are a lot of factors that makes them decide, okay, I don't want the product in this manner. I want a laptop. Now I no longer want a 17-inch screen. I want it to be 13. You need to be able to quickly respond to that. Now, if you haven't unlocked the agile supply chain, your product management will start having delays. So imagine a customer request that comes on, and all of a sudden, in the middle of your production, they say, oh, yes, we've done this, but we decided that today we don't want the 17-inch screen, we want the 15-inch screen. You need to be able to quickly respond to them. Have a flat organization that is able to respond to requests quickly. Decisions are made in an agile, you're able to respond and be better. Now, what that does for you is, it makes you as an organization as customer centric, which is what you need to do in product management. It makes you more customer centric. It makes you to be able to deliver your product with value, and it makes you to deliver that product in such a way that the customer itself is happy. They're well aware that yes, they will get the best of you. And you know what they say about customers: when you delight your customer, they bring in much more. Now, what agile really gives you the fact that you can change. So agile supply chain is giving you that flexibility, that ability to change, that ability to get things done, that ability to know that you will get things in a way that will be, so I'm saying, without you're able to out fast, you're able to deliver responsive. Yeah.